Hey. Uh, so, take 4. Had some kind of difficulties, I guess. Maybe take 3. I don't know. I lost count. First take, got a splinter in my finger. Other takes, phone ran out of storage, so I just deleted some stuff. So hopefully this will work. I really want to show you guys how to repot plants. This is mostly for cacti and succulents. However, the snake plant Adiana that you got, I know will plant the same way as these guys, because it requires kind of the same soil and moisture conditions as cacti and succulents. Also, if you can't hear me very well, it's really windy, so I apologize. And if I'm yelling and it sounds like I'm screaming, it's because I'm worried you can't hear me, so I apologize for that too. Hopefully this goes well. Hopefully you can hear me and it's informative. And I guess all I have left to say is welcome to my YouTube channel. So you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need your lovely little plants. You're going to need a clean pot. If you're using a pot that had a plant in it previously that was dead, you're going to want to wash it out with some really hot water and some dish soap. Make sure you get all the dish soap out though. But basically you want to kill off any kind of bacteria or parasites that were once in this pot. Optionally, I'll get into it a little bit, you're going to need some rocks. So you can get rocks from outside. I think I bought these from Lowe's or somewhere. But you're going to need some small rocks, and I'll let you know why. But again, you're going to want to make sure they're clean. If you get them from outside, which is fine, just boil them off in a pot. So you're, again, killing off any kind of pesticide, getting rid of any pesticides and killing off any kind of bacteria or parasites. Third, you're going to need soil. So for cacti, succulents, palms, even the snake plant, I recommend this. I use it a lot, especially for my indoor plants, because a lot of the plants I get requires fast draining soil that doesn't hold in moisture. So I like this. I really recommend it, especially for cacti and succulents. I would not suggest anything else unless it was specified for them, because they're easy plants to take care of, but they have some really strict moisture conditions. Like I said, they like it almost bone dry. So an optional thing again is perlite. So basically it helps promote draining. I made a mess. You see these, it's basically little tiny rocks. It almost looks like styrofoam, but it's little kind of rocks that get all crumbly, and it helps the soil keep from holding on to moisture. So it helps the water go through the roots. The roots will suck up what it needs, and then the rest of the water will drain through the perlite-filled soil, and it will help it leave the pot rather than stay just sucked in and causing root rot, which will eventually kill your plant. Like I said, you don't need it if you have this kind of soil, because it has some in it. I just got it because it really helps if you accidentally overwater one day, or you forget when you water and you water the next day and you're like, oh crap, I just may have killed my plant. This will help make sure that the chances of that are severely lowered. So let's get started. So like I said, you're going to get a pot. I suggest one with a draining hole. So a little hole that goes through and through. It helps the water leave the pot rather than stay in there. So whenever the soil takes what it needs and the rest trickles out, it'll go through the hole. So you'll need a little plate kind of at the bottom, or at least just paper towel to soak up any of the water that comes out. So this little guy, this pot, he does not have a drainage hole. So that's where the rocks come in. You're going to get some rocks. You're just kind of going to put them in an even layer, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. I did about 1/2 inch because this is a small pot. And this basically just helps keep the water away from your roots and your soil. So eventually your roots can tap down into the water that's down there, and it'll soak it up if it's needed. Or it'll just kind of evaporate out and it'll be fine. But yeah, if you don't have a drainage hole, you're going to need rocks. Some people put rocks in a pot that has a drainage hole anyway. I don't really want to do that, especially since I'm adding perlite, because then I'm worried that it'll just cause too much at the bottom. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to gently remove your pot from its little container. I already did this step because it's really hard to do just one-handed. But basically you're going to have all the soil on the plant, and you're just going to kind of rub it out and rub any of the old soil out from the roots. You're just going to be really gentle, kind of give it a nice little massage. Be careful not to tug on any of the roots, and just get as much soil out as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm leaving it how it is. You can also take off any kind of leaves that look dead. This one I already kind of did. You can see I took off one there. But yeah, you're basically just going to check it over to make sure that everything looks fine. This one looks pretty good. This area looks like cat may have gone into it. But you're just going to want to make sure that the root ball is as exposed as possible, which is this little guy. So this one I did the same thing as well. He has interesting roots, and it brings me to my next topic. You can see how they kind of spiral it out and are thick little noodles. You're going to want a pot for succulents and cacti that's more wide than it is deep. That's because succulents and cacti usually grow in arid places, and their roots grow horizontally rather than vertically down like most plants. Whenever it rains, because they live in such arid conditions, the rain mostly stops near the top because all the moisture is being sucked up by the land. So whenever cacti and succulent grow, they keep their roots close to the surface so that way they can get as much water as possible whenever it finally rains. So it's really interesting. If you Google it and you see people who dig out cacti from deserts, their roots go on for like almost miles. Like, it's so long because they just want to get as much space available to soak up as much water available. So that's why their roots don't go down like most plants. If you don't have a pot, like this one's not super wide. It's wide towards the middle, but it's pretty deep. It'll be fine. Your succulent and cactus will still be happy as long as you make sure that you're not overwatering it. So you're going to, like I said, remove all the soil, as much soil as you can from the roots. Fill it up with rocks if needed. There's another thing I was going to say. I can't remember. I'll get back to it, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to take my little jar and I'm going to just scoop out some dirt. Okay, so once you scoop it out, you're going to want to get a nice packed in layer. And you're going to want to make sure you get it kind of compact at the bottom so that way your soil doesn't shift later when you water it. So you're going to do that. I'm going to get some perlite. I'm just going to get a nice little handful. Sprinkle that on there. Ooh, try not to make a mess. And I'm just going to mix it up. So you want a little bit of perlite in there. Again, just pack it down. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more soil on top. Then you're going to take your plant, you're going to fit it, and you're going to kind of rearrange it how you want. So if you have a particular side of the pot that you really like and you want it to face out, and you have a part of the plant that you really like and you want it to be facing that way, then you're going to kind of adjust it how you want. You're going to want to make sure that all your roots are in the pot. So you don't want them to kind of be going over the pot. It's a leaf. I'm going to pick that out. Maybe. Okay. And if you accidentally pull out any roots, I don't know if I've already said this, it's fine. Just try not to pull out too many. They're not as fragile as you would think, but you just want to be really careful with them. So you're going to pour in some more. you're just going to pack it around. I don't know how well I'm going to do with just one hand. But you're going to pack it around. And again, you're going to make sure that all your roots kind of go downwards. I'm going to get some more perlite. And it's basically, you're just doing this. You're just kind of rearranging, packing down soil, making sure all your roots get covered, making sure your plant's standing as upright as possible. It's not happening super well right now because I can't film, I guess, with just one hand. Maybe I can. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can hold it with my feet. There. Okay. So, this might not go so well. So, you're just going to pack it down, pack it around. Make sure all your roots are happy little roots and are covered. Again, get your soil pretty compact. Rotate it. If not all your roots are covered, it's fine. Like I have a few stragglers that are kind of being brats. You'll be good. They'll eventually grow down. Try and not be like me and get soil all over your plant leaves. Tend to not like that. And if you do get soil on your leaves, just blow it off whenever you're done. So it's basically like that. You just kind of put some soil down at a time. I'm layering my perlite in there. Making sure it's nice and evenly distributed. I don't want it to be too draining to where the roots don't get a chance to properly soak up the moisture they need. But there's formulas people make on how to ratio it out. I don't follow formulas, obviously. I just kind of go with it. My plants have turned out fine. Not gonna lie, this is my first time using perlite. I've just struggled lately with, I don't know if my apartment's more humid, but it seems like my succulents are kind of getting succulents and cacti are getting a little too wet. So I'm trying to cut back on that. So, work my way around. Pack it down. And it's almost done. So you don't want it too... I just put a lot of soil in by accident. You don't want it too close to the top. You want to leave a little bit of room, because whenever you water, you don't want that water to just run right out the pot. So kind of pack it down. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting some focus. And it's pretty nice and packed. You don't want it to be too packed. You want it to have some spring. And so there, let me get in the sun. It is. I like to sometimes put a little bit of decorative rocks on top. It helps it look nice and keep any soil from coming out whenever you water it. Again, just blow off any of the little dirt that you got in the leaves. But that's basically it. And like I said, you're gonna want to water it whenever you stick your finger in to about there. Whenever your finger's there, if you pull it out and there's not really any kind of dirt on it and you don't feel moisture, Then you're going to give it a nice water. You're just kind of going to evenly coat the top in water. You're not going to drench it. Like I said, nice even coat. And then it should be coming out the bottom. And like I say, you're going to want to put a little dish underneath it to catch any water if you put on something that could be water damaged. But yeah, this is my little plant. Need to name her. And I'll be doing this guy. It's the same process, same thing. You're going to put a little bit of soil down on top of the rocks. Get nice and even over there. Try not to move it too much whenever you're just putting the first layer on, because you don't want it to go, you want it to not go through the rocks as much as possible, because like I said, the rocks are a layer of defense for your roots to not get so much moisture. So like that, I'm just going to set it in there. You want to make sure, whenever you're doing this, that your plant is not too far below the lip of your pot, or else it will, this part of the plant, the base, will get wet. And you don't want the plant itself to get super wet, because then that will cause rot right about here, which I think that's just how the leaf is. It's a little springy there, which is kind of alarming, but the leaves itself look healthy. You can see a cat has chewed a little hole in one. So I'm going to fill in a little bit more soil just to make sure it's not touching. And this plant, actually, you can see here, this came from the plant. It has some sand in the soil, which is another thing you can get. It has to be a specific kind of sand. I don't really use sand that much because, like I said, it's a specific kind, and it's hard to find. You have to go specifically to some plant stores, and I don't bother with it. This has some sand in it. You can kind of see the gritty. And it has some perlite, too, so that's why I said you might not need to add perlite. I'm adding it just for a little precaution. So we're going to add a nice little handful. Kind of mix it up. You just want that perlite to be distributed throughout the soil. So if I put this little guy back, he's pretty well even with the lip of it. I think it's pretty good. Safe to start filling it up around him. And if you don't like how it is, you can always take it out, redo it. Maybe I can show a video. I'm going to be doing sometime a succulent cactus garden in a pot. So maybe whenever I do that, I'll film it and show you how you can rearrange different things in the same pot. It's a little bit more complicated. It's not super complicated. You just want to make sure that all your plants are happy and get enough space. So you want to make sure, another thing, you want to make sure you kind of upgrade the pot, but not by too much. This one's not really an upgrade. It's wider in the middle, so it's pretty much an upgrade. But so if you have this pot and you want to put in a new pot, you kind of want to go a little bit outwards, just a little bit. If you want to stay the same size, you can keep it in the same size pot. But again, if you're wanting to upgrade your pot, it's recommended to go a little bit outward so it can get some more growth, because plants will be restricted to the kind of pot they're in. So I want this guy, specifically I want this guy, because it's already kind of big, to get a little bit more wide, a little bit more fuller. So I got a pot, put in a pot that's a bit wider than the pot that it was in. So yeah, just a little bit. It's just a little bit. You don't want to go too much too fast, because your plants will kind of freak out because they all of a sudden have all this much room and they feel the need to fill the space with their roots, and so they'll try to grow really rapidly, and it could cause some strange growth patterns, or it could stress your plant out and it'll eventually get kind of a plant sickness. I don't really know what it is exactly. I've had some plants do it. They kind of all of a sudden get some really strange like leaves, and they don't look so great. But it's fixable. It's nothing that's going to kill it. The only thing that will really kill your plants is root rot. That's really hard to reverse. Most of the time it's irreversible because once you notice it, your plant's kind of rotted through. So root rot, and then parasites will kill your plants. I don't think there's that many parasites, especially in North Carolina, that will kill succulents and most houseplants. But there are some. I haven't had any parasites that have messed with my plants. I've actually had a spider that lived in my aloe plant, which is nice because it kind of protected my aloe plant when it was outside from strange bugs, and my aloe plant provided a home, so it was kind of cute. So this guy is basically done. It's not that complicated. You can see how the soil is barely covering some of that base, but it won't be a problem because it's at the top, so it won't be restricting anything, and it won't be causing it to rot. So all the roots are packed down. I have space at the lip, you can see, in between. Also, you don't want your plant to actually be really touching the pot because that can inhibit growth, and it can also stress your plant out, and it can cause rot on the plant if moisture gets trapped in between it. So I'm just going to put some perlite actually on top to kind of decorate it. I like how that looks with this plant and the pot. Whenever I do my cactus and succulent garden, if I film it for you guys, I'll show you how I decorate that, because I had a cactus and succulent garden before, but whenever I moved, it kind of got messed up and all the plants died because stress of moving kind of bothered them, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of neglected them. But yeah, super easy, super pretty, and of course the wind blows away all my perlite, but that's fine. I'll get some more of the white rocks that I have and put it on there. But yep, that's these two little guys. This one has no drainage holes, so I'm going to be watering it a lot less frequently than I will this one, and a lot less at one time than I will be this one. This one I'll probably be watering once every 2 weeks. This one probably like once every 3 weeks, probably once a month. But yep, those are my succulents. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope this was informative and you could actually hear me. Yes.